hands, how many of you feel like there's something more for your life waiting around a corner somewhere? Okay, that's great. Now, how many of you feel like you know what that is? All right, that's a good number, you guys. That's good. All right. So whether you feel like you know what's around the corner or not, I'd like you guys to try a little exercise with me. What I want is for you to close your eyes and imagine what your life would look like if it was amazing. All right? Don't worry about being realistic. Don't worry about what's possible based on the funds in your bank account right now. All I want you to do is picture what your life would be like if it was something that you described as amazing. What kind of car are you driving? What kind of home do you live in? Are you still in California, or do you live in a different state? Do you maybe even live in a different country? Think big. Okay? Everybody can go ahead and open their eyes now. So, now whether you already knew what your life would look like as amazing when you first closed your eyes, or you just figured it out right now, my question for you is, are you going after it? And if not, why not? What are you waiting for? Okay, now the last time I spoke here, I mentioned how many of you have heard me talk about the importance of not just talking to yourself, but saying good things to yourself, telling yourself all the reasons that you can instead of the reasons that you can't, telling yourself all the reasons that you should instead of the reasons that you shouldn't. And then I realized since that time how many of you are new faces. Many of you were not here for those previous Mondays to hear those previous talks, and so you didn't get that message, and maybe you didn't understand what I was getting at when I mentioned it last time. Now, I'm not going to repeat a speech that I've given previously, but what I am going to do is revisit this concept with you guys right now, because you see, I think the reason that a lot of us don't go after that amazing life that we just envisioned for ourselves is because either we don't talk to ourselves, or if we do, we're saying negative things to ourselves. Rather than telling ourselves that we could have that amazing life we just envisioned, if we just did this, that, or the other thing, what we're telling ourselves is that we can't have that life. Not only that, but we tend to tell ourselves that we will never have it, which then creates a negative cycle that works against us. Because we told ourselves we could never have it, we don't bother even thinking about going after it because we've already decided that we can't have it. W.C. Fields once said, "Every single person in the world is self-made, but only the successful are willing to admit it." And he's absolutely right. What he's saying is that you have to take responsibility for your actions and your choices. Not just your good ones, but also your bad ones. You have to take responsibility for your failures as well as your successes. The best thing I ever heard Les Brown say is that no matter where you find yourself in life, at some point in time, you made an appointment to be there. And he's right. What he's saying is that whether you are happy with your life or disappointed with your life, whether you consider yourself to be a success or you consider yourself to be a failure, at some point in time, your previous self made choices and took actions that got you to the position that you're in right now. So if you're not happy with your life, or if you're not living a life that is going to lead you to that amazing thing that you just envisioned a few minutes ago, then what you got to do is make an appointment to be somewhere else at a later time. And the reason I say make an appointment to be somewhere else at a later time is because many of us know this, but some of us don't. It is not going to happen overnight. No matter how hard you push, no matter how hard you work, no matter how much effort you put in, or how much you wish it, it is not going to happen overnight. You will not grow muscles overnight. You will not learn to play an instrument overnight. You cannot make $1 million overnight. Unless, of course, you've already got $1 million to start with, which none of us do. So forget about that for right now. And you see, as I'm speaking to all of you about this, you may not realize it, but what I'm also doing is talking to each and every one of your subconscious minds. I am tapping each and every one of you on the subconscious shoulder and saying, tag, you're it. Just like when we were kids on the playground and you played tag with your friends, maybe at the park, Tag, you're it. Now it's up to you. Do you want to play the game, or do you want to stay right where you are? But you see, now we're grown-ups, the game is a little bit different. This is no longer a game that you play with other people. Now this is a game that you play with yourselves. Your previous self, your current self, and your future self. Alright, see, the idea of the game, the first level of the game is that you get a conversation going inside of your head. You start talking to yourself. Alright? You got to talk to yourself, and when you talk to yourself, that gets ideas growing in your head. That gets ideas rolling around in your head like marbles, okay? And the more that you talk to yourself, the more of those thoughts you're going to have. And pretty soon, you'll start thinking about those things subconsciously, even when you're not talking about them consciously. Once you get to that point, you've reached the next stage of the game, all right? And the next stage of the game is that you write things down. You write down these thoughts that you have about not just how your life could be different, but how it could be better. All right, and writing things down serves two purposes. One, it trains your conscious mind. It gives your conscious mind a destination and a focus. You can't get where you're going if you don't know where you're going, right? Okay. So, writing things down gives your conscious mind something to focus on, a destination. But the other thing it does is it gives your subconscious mind focus too. It ignites and awakens what is called your reticular activation system, which helps your subconscious mind look for the things that you want and the things that are important to you, even when your conscious mind is not looking for them. Which then makes it harder for you to get distracted. It makes it harder for you to get knocked off of the path that you're on by something else or someone else. So those are the two benefits of writing things down. Once you get to writing things down, you're already almost at the end of the game. Now, it's up to you to take action. It's up to you to do the things that you wrote about and the things that you talked about. And once you start taking action based on these things that you talked about and wrote about, what you're doing is you're controlling your own future. You are making an appointment to be in a better place at another time. All right? When I mentioned that statement a minute ago about wherever you find yourself in life, at some point in time you made an appointment to be there. If you're not happy with your life, you only have your previous self to thank for that. So when you take actions on these things that you wrote down and that you talked about, what you're doing is you're making choices that your future self is going to thank your current self for instead of cursing your current self. What you're doing is you're showing yourself that that amazing life that you just envisioned is not impossible. It's not even far away. It's right around the corner. And you can get there. You just have to stay consistent. You just have to work towards it. Because as I said, it's not going to happen overnight. My favorite quote from Denzel Washington, he said, "Without commitment, you'll never get started. But without consistency, you'll never finish." And he's absolutely 100% right. Talking to yourself is the commitment. Writing things down is the consistency. Taking action is finishing the game. Because that's how you get where you want to be. That's how you get to that amazing life that you just envisioned for yourself. So as I said, while I've been speaking to you about this, I've been tapping each and every one of your minds on the subconscious shoulder and saying, tag, you're it. So now it's up to you. Do you want to play the game? Or do you want to stay right where